The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Sharon Ryan, and I work in the alumni office at William Patterson University. And I want to welcome you to our webinar, Mindfulness in the Classroom and Beyond, presented by WP alumna Jennifer Caputo, WP class of 1998. In the classroom or in your daily life, mindfulness can relieve anxiety and increase your ability to focus and concentrate. In this webinar, our presenter, Jennifer Caputo, will discuss and provide exercises on how to use mindfulness in the classroom, as well as illustrate how mindfulness can be used in your daily life. Before I introduce today's presenter, I'd like to go over how this webinar will work, excuse me, for those of you who haven't attended previously. First of all, you should be able to see the presentation on your computer screen, the first slide. You should also be able to hear me, I hope you can, on your computer's audio system. Please feel free to ask questions by typing them in on your question little line there. We are going to be monitoring your questions and we'll answer them at the end of the webinar or if possible during the presentation. Additionally, you're going to be asked questions during the presentation to engage, so get ready to start typing. Any questions that are not answered in today's webinar will be addressed after the webinar is completed. So once again, feel free to type in any questions as the webinar progresses. So now I'd like to introduce today's topic and speaker. Jennifer Caputo, WP class of 98, is a fifth grade teacher at Helen Morgan Elementary School in the Sparta Township School District. She was also recognized as Sussex County Teacher of the Year for 2019-2020 and was named a finalist for the New Jersey Teacher of the Year for 2020. Jennifer believes that the increasing demands on educators and students is creating stress and anxiety. Mindfulness, when regularly used, can increase the ability to focus and concentrate and increase self-awareness. And so now I would like to introduce our presenter, Jennifer Caputo. Jennifer?
Hello, and thank you all for tuning in tonight. My name is Jennifer Caputo, and I've been asked this evening to share the practice of mindfulness with you. So over the next hour, I'll be condensing a lot of information about mindfulness into 6 categories in order to leave plenty of time at the end for questions and answers. So tonight I'll be sharing with you what mindfulness is, what it isn't, why it's necessary, the role of the mindful teacher, and you'll also be able to establish your own personal practice as you play with exercises that I've woven throughout the presentation. I'd like to share a little bit about myself with you so that you have an idea who you're going to be spending the next hour with. In addition to being a proud alumna of William Patterson University, I'm a fifth grade teacher, and I've been teaching fifth grade for 5 years. I've been teaching in total for 22, and within those years, I've continued to reinvent myself. I began teaching as a 7th and 8th grade language arts teacher, and then I moved into the library and I was the media specialist for many years within my same district. And then I felt this strong desire to experience teaching on the elementary level. And I thought that would really be a great challenge that I wanted to take on. And boy, did I get the challenge that I was looking for. Geez Louise, hats off to all the elementary teachers out there. When I left the middle school, I was working periodically with kids who were diagnosed with ADHD, and I was teaching them how to meditate. Every day they would come to the library and ask me if I was coming into their classroom that day to help them to be still. And I found that to be so powerful because it really opened my eyes to the true needs of students today. It was really enlightening to see kids ask me so consistently for stillness. And when I'm not teaching the kids during the day, I'm teaching graduate school for teachers through the Regional Training Center. I'll do that in the evenings or the weekends or during the summer months whenever the classes are running. I'm also a course designer for the center, and I'm currently creating a new course on mindfulness. So that's really exciting. And if you're interested, send me an email and I'll be sure to let you know when you can sign up and register. I also have a private practice as a wellness coach and healing facilitator where I teach clients how to heal themselves through the practice of EFT, NLP, and healing breath work. And something really exciting that Sharon has already shared with you happened during the 2019 and 2020 school year. I was very honored to be named Sussex County Teacher of the Year and finalist for the New Jersey State Teacher of the Year. It's been a wild ride, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. I really wanted to take a moment tonight to plug the County Teacher of the Year program, because if you've ever been named, or if you are ever named Teacher of the Year for your school, take the chance and apply for county teacher. There are many opportunities to take advantage of, like working alongside the New Jersey Department of Education, working to support and highlight best practices with the teachers in your county, and also doing fun webinars like this. It really is an incredible, rewarding experience. Now, when I made my way into the fifth grade classroom, I was really surprised to see a general heightened level of stress and anxiety in the kids. And this isn't something that's particular to the school that I teach in. I'm an educational consultant, so I'm told by many teachers that they witness the same behaviors. High levels of stress and anxiety in the classroom are a major public education today. And year after year, I witness these levels in children increase. They trust themselves less, they lack resiliency, as well as the ability to cope with minor disruptions. And now more than ever, the kids need to be able to tune into themselves and pay attention to what they notice. The pedagogical research is everywhere telling educators that without feeling connected and safe, learning can't take place. Now, currently I'm teaching at the Helen Morgan School, which is in Sparta Township. It's way up north in Sussex County, and we're a grade 4-5 school with a little over 400 kids enrolled. And what you're looking at here are two pictures of kids in my classroom. On the left is a picture of kids in the middle of taking a test, and they've paused to practice mindfulness. Collectively, they've made that decision. And on the right is Mark. Mark is seen here taking control of his instructional time. He needs to step away from whatever it was that he was working on. He's tuning into his breath and hopes to reset, get clear, and move forward. So this is an example of what it looks like when kids pay attention and tune into their bodies and become aware of their needs. They're then able to take care of those needs before going over the edge, which often happens too quickly. So this is what the practice of mindfulness can look like in your classroom. So before we go any further, I'd like to survey who's with us tonight. Tell me if you're a teacher, or share the position you identify with that makes you interested in tuning in to learn more about mindfulness.
So if you want to type in your little question box there, if you're a teacher, oh, okay, here they all come already. We have a high school history teacher, another teacher, we have a professor, oh my goodness, we have a student major in marketing, a director of a preschool is here, a teacher in New York State who teaches 4 to 8 band, college English teacher, oh my goodness, 7th grade ELA teacher, high school English teacher, resource room teacher, kindergarten teacher, and a university nursing teacher. Wow. This one says she teaches in the nursing program, and the students feel a lot of stress in this major and need a lot of reassurance.
In the nursing program?
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
good.
my daughter just graduated. Yes, I can attest to that.
Yes.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome. I do want to begin this evening by making no claims to being an expert on mindfulness. I came to this practice because I saw a need for it in my classroom. So I educated myself on it, and I continue to do so by taking courses. I read about it extensively. I continue to work to develop my own practice, and I teach the practice to my students and encourage them to practice daily so they can develop their own. And with that being said, tonight I'm excited to share everything with you that I have learned over the years and how I've made it work in the classroom. My mission is to share with schools and teachers the message that mindfulness is a lifestyle and not a class period. I want you to see how it can be woven into and become a part of your daily instruction. So rather than a class period or a certain time set aside during the day just for one more thing to teach, we really don't need that. We don't need one more thing to teach. So I really want to show you how you can just weave it in and not take a lot of time out of the material that you already need to share. Because oftentimes these buzzwords start flying around and everyone wants to check the box off and saying that they're doing them. And I hear of schools that have mindfulness periods and mindfulness corners. And if you really study mindfulness, you'll quickly see that it's not about that. It's not about ticking off the box and saying you do it, because it's a lifestyle that you live and you continue to practice. In the beginning, Teaching mindfulness skills with direct instruction may be necessary, but you can move from there and encourage kids to pay attention to and be aware of their own mind and bodies and to step away from their learning whenever they need to. And this direct instruction can happen in 30 seconds or 1 minute as you lead the kids into the exercise. It doesn't have to be a huge lesson around it. The lesson is in the experience, and the kids will be able to see the benefits of it right away. So just pause your lesson, run through an exercise, and hop right back into your lesson. As a class, choosing to be still at one time together is also an option. But once you get rolling and understand the intention of the practice, you can make it your own in the classroom and just have fun with it. I also want to bring attention to the quotes that are at the bottom of most slides. They're there for you and they're from the kids. They really want you to teach your classes mindfulness so together you can enjoy the day with a little more ease, a little more balance, and a little more awareness. So
Jennifer,
rather,
I'm
yes,
sorry,
dear, yes.
Sharon. I just want to say when all the people there, a lot of teachers are on here, but it's very interesting. There's some people in finance who are on here, and we have some
Ah,
ER nurses. So I think what you're saying is probably going to be really good for them too.
absolutely. And that's exactly where I'm going right now because I wanted to let them know that whether they're a parent who wants to share this practice with their family, or an employer who wants to learn more and share it with their company, or a teacher who wants to share it with their students, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is you do, I want you to be able to walk away from this webinar tonight with the ability to implement the information shared so that you can begin to create your own mindfulness practice. Also share it and teach it to those that you spend your day with, because it's my hope you'll then continue to educate yourself further, to deepen your practice when you're ready, and to continue to enrich the lives of those around you. You'll begin to notice that as you make mindfulness a habit, your practice will create a rippling effect and extend to all those that you share your space with. So before we continue any further, I'd like for you to experience our first mindfulness exercise. And we're going to begin with some mindful breathing. And you're welcome to take a moment and get yourself comfortable. And whenever I do mindfulness in the classroom, we usually always call attention to it by ringing the chimes. So I'm just going to ring us in and then I'll walk us through the practice. So you can get into your mindful body and get yourself comfortable. And gently close your eyes or gaze down at the floor. If closing them is too uncomfortable, that's okay. You can just gently gaze at the floor or at the desk or the table, wherever it is you're seating. The idea here is to let in the least amount of stimulus, just so you can kind of quiet your brain. And pay attention to your breath. With your mouth closed, inhale and exhale through your nose if that's available to you. If you have a cold, then just gently part your lips, but do whatever it is you need to do to be able to breathe at your normal rate. There's no effort here other than to just simply breathe. Notice how your body expands on the inhales and contracts on the exhales. And if thoughts come into your mind, it's okay, they will. Don't judge what's happening right now. Just pay attention to your breath and notice what you notice. And when you feel something or think about something, name it. Like, my breath is shallow right now, or I'm noticing I'm making a list of things that I need to do after this webinar. And that's okay. Don't judge, just name it and return to your breath. Because when the focus is on the breath, it's not possible to let any other thoughts in. So you can just make yourself aware of that. And then you can gently open your eyes. And how did that feel? I'd love for you to share with us how you're feeling now as compared to when you first logged on this evening, because that was such a short period of time. That was about a minute, maybe not even. And in such a short period of time, it makes such an impact on the regulation of your body. Mindful breathing is the foundation of the mindfulness lesson. So although we learn to be mindful of almost everything we do, mindful breathing can happen in every class or every meeting or every break, every lunch break, every step that you take, mindfulness can happen. And mindful breathing can lead to being calm. It helps us remember to notice our experience, whatever it happens to be in the present moment. And it helps us to learn where our attention is. And it helps us to be present. So if you're out there right now scrolling through emails or maybe looking at Instagram or Facebook or making dinner or grading papers, whatever it is, that's a good example of not being mindful. And I'm not judging here, I'm just using the example to drive home the point of what mindfulness actually is. So let's go to it and talk about what mindfulness is. Mindfulness is paying attention and being aware of the world around you. It's intentional. It's about the present moment. It's about being non-judgmental, curious, and kind. And it's important to note that being kind means being kind to yourself as well as being kind to others, because it's really easy to be kind to others, isn't it? It's showing ourselves the kindness that many of us need some practice with, right? So I'd like to share a video with you to illustrate what mindfulness can look like in the classroom. And anytime I say classroom, if you're not a teacher, please insert, what it could look like in the hospital, in the doctor's office, um, in your board meeting, in whatever meeting you're holding. And it's going to be a little over 2 minutes. You're going to hear from students as they share their thoughts on mindfulness and the impact it has on them and who they are as learners. I chose a high school class for you to witness because when working with teachers, I listen as they share their concerns about learning. And it's the high school teachers that seem to have the most apprehension about student buy-in when it comes to anything new. So hopefully the video will help any of you here this evening that are concerned about buy-in while you're watching. And I'd love to have you share something that resonates with you. So feel free to send in your comments while the video is running or when it's through.
Hello. We want to do a mindful minute, and then we want to do a computer thing.
My first time for mindfulness, I thought it was kind of stupid, to be honest.
Let your eyes close.
Miss Oak always encouraged us to close our eyes during mindfulness. I wasn't really comfortable doing that. So, I thought it was kind of weird.
I have kids all the time that say, oh, I'm not going to do that. But I think mindfulness is a lot like listening to a song in a room. So you can say to me all day long, I'm not going to listen to that song. I'm not going to listen to that song. And let's go all the way down to the bottoms of your feet. Really feel the bottoms of your feet. But eventually, you kind of have to hear the sound of it.
At first, I felt like it was a glitzy thing that only a certain group of people do. People that have a middle-age crisis or something like that. But as the year progressed, I learned that mindfulness is not just for one group of people, but it's for everybody that needs it.
Our brains are so good at thinking about what hurts that the good stuff is quiet and hiding, and it doesn't come out. The good stuff doesn't come out unless we pay attention to it. Our brains, when a kid comes in and I'm asking them to do a whole lot of learning from here, but they have a whole lot of stuff going on in here, giving them tools to manage this helps me to get to the learning part.
Without mindfulness, at a day where I felt like I needed mindfulness, I would stay annoyed or angry throughout the whole day, and maybe it would even carry on to the next day.
You ask any of the kids in class, what is mindfulness? They'll say it's paying attention to what's going on. It's paying attention to myself and my body. It's paying attention to the here and now with kindness and with curiosity.
Mindfulness is a way to calm down and to collect yourself.
The person that I was in my freshman and sophomore year is completely different from who I was or who I am my junior and senior year, and that was because of mindfulness.
And when you're ready, you can open up your eyes. Back to the room.
So again, I just want to remind you as you watch this or listen to anything, if I'm saying students, please just substitute that for your employees or for your children or whoever it is that you're working with on a daily basis. And although the cultivation of attention and awareness is called mindfulness, like we just saw in the video, it's important to also note that it could equally be called heartfulness, because it's not merely about the head and cognition, but about our entire being and our multiple intelligences, our way of knowing and being, which includes the cultivation of kindness and compassion, that I mentioned earlier. Now, if you feel comfortable, I'd love to see you share out what mindfulness is in your own words while we go ahead and take a look at what mindfulness isn't.
Jennifer, I just want to say too that when you did the exercise previously, people were writing in that they felt more settled, relaxed. One person said she just got home from surgery, so it was very soothing. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's dynamite. And the most exciting piece about that is that it could be 30 seconds, it could be a minute, and it makes such an impact. And no matter what you do day in and day out, everyone has 30 seconds or a minute to make that healthy change in their day, in that moment. So thank you for those.
Yeah, one of our attendees
So let's,
is saying that
no, go ahead.
the VA has incorporated deep breaths and relaxation prior to measuring blood pressure, and the difference has been really appreciable.
That's fantastic, because so many people just sitting down in that chair and knowing that that cuff is going to go on their arm is nerve-wracking enough. That's dynamite. So let's address what mindfulness isn't. Mindfulness is not a religion. It's not about being calm or absence of thought. Becoming calm is a result of being mindful, but mindfulness isn't meant to be practiced to create calmness. It's meant to be practiced to create awareness. Mindfulness is not about using mantras or visualization. It's about what's happening at the moment. It's about naming the experience you're having. It's about pausing to notice what you're noticing. So this makes it the very opposite of being absence of thought. Being absence from thought is a meditation practice, and the two are not the same. Being mindful doesn't mean meditation. The practice of mindfulness isn't intended to be used as discipline or a cure-all for kids. The last thing we want to hear is teachers saying, Susie, that's enough. You need to be more mindful. Take a time out and practice being mindful. Right? Because you can almost hear that happening, right? So instead, we want to ask questions of students who are in need of discipline, like what triggered your behavior? Did you notice any feelings coming on or getting stronger before you lashed out like that? And then use that time to show them alternatives to sitting in class as emotions are building up, so they can notice these emotions and then be able to step away and get quiet, go for a walk, or sit with a thinking jar. So I'm wondering now if you're surprised by any of the descriptors here for what mindfulness is not. So let me hear your thoughts on that. Because a lot of people think mindfulness has a lot to do with meditation and clearing your mind.
Some of our attendees said that when you first asked what they said it was, they said it's connecting to yourself, focusing on the moment, and living in the present moment. These are what they said they
Very
believe
good.
it was.
Yeah, wonderful. Anything come in yet for anything that they were surprised about what mindfulness is not? Any of the descriptors that were used?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Maybe they weren't surprised.
Maybe they weren't. No,
Oh.
maybe we've got a lot of people that are well educated on mindfulness.
Oh, here we go. People are saying not calm.
Well, yeah, and that's that always pops up. Mindfulness usually results in people becoming calm, but it's the actual essential practice of mindfulness is not about sitting still to get calm. It's about sitting still to just be aware of your senses. So mindfulness is really a lot about sensory awareness and what are you noticing within yourself. And when that happens, usually calmness happens as a result of that.
Oh, that was the one everybody brought up, being calm.
Yeah. And I knew that would happen. I was expecting that one. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So let's take another opportunity to practice tonight. We're going to get in touch with our anchor breath. So I'm going to invite you to get into your mindful body. Become still, quiet, relaxed, and upright. And you can begin to bring awareness to your breath. And where are you feeling the breath in your body? Just notice where your breath is going. 3 of the most common places that people feel their breath is in their belly, their chest, or at their nose. But any place you feel is fine. Just notice where the breath is moving. Then you can place your hand on the spot where you feel the movement of your breath. And this is your anchor spot. This is the place where we feel our breath most obviously. It's the place that holds our attention. Just like an anchor holds a boat in place, our anchor breath holds us steady. So take 3 slow, deep breaths. Notice how your body feels. If you feel anxious or nervous or tense, notice where you feel that in your body. And if you feel anxious, breathe in 1 deep breath. And as you breathe out, you can say, I'm breathing out anxiety. If you feel nervous, you can breathe in 1 deep breath. And as you breathe out, you can say, I'm breathing out nervousness. If you feel tense, you can breathe in 1 deep breath. And as you breathe out, you can say, I'm breathing out tension. And you can take your next breath, and on your inhale, you can say, I'm breathing in ease to my body. And if you're not feeling any tension or nervousness or anxiety, you're welcome to say, inhale, I am inhaling. Exhale, I am exhaling. So you can gently blink your eyes to open. Come on back to the room. And we'll talk about why mindfulness is practiced. So you don't need me to tell you about the information that's careening toward us that super speeds. Most times we don't even know what to do with all of it. And if we can't figure out what to do with it all, how do we expect kids to? This excessive amount of information that's careening toward us at super speeds each day is way too much for anyone to take in, let alone children or adults in prime developmental stages, young adults that are in prime developmental stages. And this rapid speed results in mindless tweets, inappropriate postings, bullying, feeling overwhelmed, feeling like you're not enough, and feeling the pressure of having to keep up. We are connected now more than ever. And it seems to me that people don't even realize the emotional impact that it has on us as individuals and as a culture. Stopping intentionally to pause, to breathe, and to pay attention is a practice that needs to become a habit now more than ever. Paying attention and being aware of what you're letting into your space helps pump the brakes on life and allows us to experience life happening for us rather than it happening to us. I know for myself, when I start feeling that life is happening to me, that's when I know things are out of balance and I've got to get it together and pay a little more attention to what my mind and my body need in order to self-regulate and get myself back on track. So here are 6 main reasons that I believe we would all benefit from establishing a mindfulness practice. There's certainly tons more out there, but here are my top 6. The increasing academic demands on teachers and students, technology distraction and or addiction to technology, the need to learn how to self-regulate, the need to instill life skills that may not be getting taught at home, social and emotional learning, that's not a part of the mainstream curricula despite the compelling evidence of its benefits. And finally, the overall state of emotional, mental health in our country. Now, mindfulness can help with those top 6 issues because it fosters focus and concentration, gaining a sense of calm, decreasing stress and anxiety, managing impulse control, self-awareness, difficult emotions, empathy, and conflict resolution. So what more can you ask for? This is a dream list of responsible behaviors. And be that as it may, just remember that mindfulness isn't a cure-all. It helps. it fosters, it encourages these behaviors. Don't expect them to just disappear. So next we'll examine the role of the mindful teacher. And simply put, you cannot teach mindfulness unless you practice it. There's significantly more occurring in the classroom than the exchange of information. Most people can spot a fake a mile away, and no one can do it better than kids in a classroom. So regardless of whether you're teaching kids or adults, it's essential that you make mindfulness a part of your lifestyle in order for there to be student buy-in. So if you're screaming and yelling all day long and losing your patience, being sarcastic, there's no way that people are going to be interested in what you have to share, because you're not walking the walk, and they'll see right through you and know that you're not really practicing. So if you're not really practicing, why should they even bother? So let's take a look at some ways perception plays into how we present ourselves in the classroom and what that means for being a mindful teacher. Nonverbal information travels in two directions in the classroom, from you to them and from them to you. You're transmitting your inner state before you say anything. Their read on you is registered nonverbally first. So if you're not present because of stress or resistance or any other reason, that registers. And that registers particularly in youth with trauma, who are vigilantly assessing their environment at all times. So when I say trauma, I'm talking about kids that are highly sensitive, they're anxious, they have OCD, they're stressed. Mindless adults are often the norm for these high-risk children and adolescent populations. That's what they've become accustomed to, and they're looking to trust us as teachers, and they look to us for stability. So as mindful teachers, we need to pay attention to unconsciously mimicking facial expressions or vocal expressions, postures, the behaviors of those around us. Are our arms folded in a closed off manner, or are our hands behind our back, indicating a more open posture? This I love, because your ability to sense what's going on in other people is directly proportional to your ability to sense or access your own feelings, because intuition is trainable. It's a trainable skill. And through the development of mindfulness, you're able to more quickly and intuitively assess the mood and the energy of the room. And through practice, there emerges a spontaneous sense of what is appropriate based on what is presenting itself in the moment. So there can be different levels of resistance and attention from the kids. And when you're tuned in as a mindful teacher, it makes you better suited to deal with whatever is occurring and how to do it. As mindful teachers, there's also qualities and attitudes that we need to consider cultivating. So the 7 that I want to share with you tonight are: first, sensitivity. Through mindfulness of the body, the amount of kinesthetic information we have access to greatly expands. Pay attention to how the mood of people and places and things registers in your physical body. Second is mindful speech. So more than just choosing your words carefully, look for the connection between attention, stability, relaxation, and the actual faculty of speaking. Notice how speaking with awareness creates a sense of relaxation where pauses and natural silence are seamlessly integrated. Third is authenticity. Explore the fine line between taking what works from different sources, like seeing what other teachers do, taking examples from courses that you're taking, and then putting an act on to try to be like someone you're not. We know as teachers that powerful teaching is the result of finding and refining your own unique voice and your own unique style. So trust it and play with it. Stay connected to your sense of humor and have fun with it. The fourth attitude and quality that we need to cultivate as teachers is disclosure. Different levels of disclosure are appropriate for different environments. So when you disclose, and I really think you should, because the kids learn a lot from it, check your intention. Ask yourself, am I doing this because it will benefit the kids? And if the answer is yes, then keep disclosing. But if you're doing it to get approval or to be liked or to mask a fear, then most likely disclosing what you intended is probably going to create more disclosure than necessary. The fifth is non-identification. Youth behave in a way they do for lots of different reasons, many of which have absolutely nothing to do with us. So begin to see resistance in this larger context. Pull back from the tendency to personalize everything. If kids resist the practice or they resist you in some way, it may have absolutely nothing to do with you. Just stay connected to your sense of humor as a teacher. Consider that their resistance may have something to do with someone else or something else. The sixth quality and attitude is curiosity. So the development of mindful awareness makes us genuinely curious about inner and outer reality. So ground yourself in your facilitation as a teacher and also an active curiosity about the kids' experience. And finally, the success. Revel in the simplicity of the small successes. Celebrate those 30 seconds of practice. Allow these moments to fully make an imprint on you and your students. Monitor your expectations closely. Stay connected to what mindfulness is and why we practice it. And watch out for ideals like thinking, oh, this is going to save everyone's life. This is going to solve all the problems. Because remember, it's not a cure-all, it's a lifestyle. So finally, I'd like to share what our collective practice looks like in room 37. Earlier, you met Mark, who took control of his own time and practiced during class. And in addition to kids stepping away from instructional time when they need to, as a class, we like to pause each day to be still. And like every other teacher I know, I am constantly racing against time. But time, however stringent, shouldn't be the reason that mindfulness isn't practiced. Time constraints are actually one of the reasons I found mindfulness to begin with. Initially, I was the person who led the class into the practice, and I also decided when it was going to happen. But to my dismay, one week, I went home too many nights that week realizing that I never gave the kids time to practice because I was more worried about teaching my lessons and getting through the material. And there is no question in my mind that this helpful skill will be the one skill of all those that I teach that will stick with the kids throughout their lives. And I know this because they've already proven it to me. Year after year, they continue to reach out and share with me stories about how it's been affecting their lives for the better. So I decided to turn the control of the practice over to the class. So each day when the students enter the room, one student comes in and takes the chimes, the Tibetan chimes, and another takes the singing bowl. I don't think you've heard the singing bowl yet, but you'll hear it soon. And it's now become our norm that I can be in the middle of a lesson, I can be in the middle of a word, and if those chimes ring, everything stops. The lights go out, the blinds close, the projector goes to mute, and there's darkness. There doesn't have to be darkness, but we've decided as a class that that's what we like, so that's what we do. And the kids are still. They begin to position themselves into their mindful bodies, sometimes on my direction, sometimes not. Because it's something we do every day, they're already conditioned to what's expected. Then the student with the singing bowl is the one who's responsible for ringing us out of our practice. And they know that the practice can last anywhere from 30 seconds to 3 minutes. I really leave the length of the practice up to the kids. And to allow the student that has the singing bowl the opportunity to enjoy the practice, I'll just gently lay my hand on their shoulder to act as a reminder that it's time to ring us out. Otherwise, they're only focusing on when it's time, which they know wouldn't be mindful, right? They would need to just stay in their mindful body. So our final practice for the night is going to be mindful listening. So please get into your mindful bodies. Become still and quiet and upright, and you can bring your awareness to your breath and put all of your attention into hearing. Just listen. What do you hear in the room that you're in? Pay attention. Notice and name what you hear. Don't judge. Don't build a story around it. Bring your attention to the outside of your room. And what sounds do you hear? If your kids are making noise or the TV is too loud in the other room, don't judge. Someone else in your home is enjoying the present moment, and you can too by just simply stating what you hear. And how about outside the building that you're in? Can you tune in a little deeper and hear sounds from the outdoors? What do you notice? So I'm going to ring the singing bowl, which is a different sound than the chimes. And I want you to put all of your attention on the singing of the bowl and keep your eyes closed until you no longer hear the bowl sing. So you can gently blink your eyes to open. And feel free to share your experience about mindful listening with us while I share some ways that we can stay connected after our Q&A session. I don't know about you, but after those mindful exercises, it's not easy for me to just hop back in and start to share because I'm just as in the moment as you are. And I have to really take a moment to bring myself back. So I really want to thank you all so much for tuning in this evening and staying with us throughout the presentation. There's so much more that I could have shared with you. It was a real challenge for me to fit what I felt was important for tonight into this time slot, but I did it. And I'm happy to direct you to my website, shiftforwellness.com, where you can access the podcast that I host that promotes living with ease while facing challenges and tragedies with courage and resilience. And I'm currently working on a 4-part mindfulness series, and there's a component there about the brain and mindfulness that I couldn't fit in tonight, but I'd love for you to hear. It's not up yet, but it's going to be coming within the week. And while you're on the website, if you click on the services page, you'll also get access to 2 tutorials that facilitate healing on many levels. One video is a how-to on EFT. That's the emotional freedom technique. It's also known as tapping. And it's an emotional form of acupuncture. And the other is a healing breathwork meditation that facilitates transformation and release of negative emotions like limiting beliefs, trauma, fear, guilt, anxiety, worry, and so much more. So check them out. Feel free to contact me with any questions you have about those healing modalities or about any information that was shared here tonight. And in the meantime, here are some other ways that we can stay connected. I've recently created a Shift for Wellness school on Teachable, which currently has one course, but there's more on the way. The course there is called One Powerful Word, and it's the idea of adopting one word for the new year rather than a resolution that seemed to never really make it all the way to December. And I also have a program for teachers and families that I'm currently designing around wellness practices at home and in the classroom, with the accountability being on the student and the parents to practice and then build habits at home before, and then the teacher in school can then foster those habits during the day. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in knowing more about, please send me an email and I'll be sure to keep you posted about the progress and maybe even ask you to help me out with the trial run before it goes to publication. And then one last bit of inside scoop before we go to questions and answers. You might want to keep your eye out for the March and April editions of the NJEA Review magazine. I have an article on mindfulness being published in April, and my fellow county teacher of the year from Cape May County, TJ Belasco, he's doing the same in next month's edition. He's also a mindfulness guy, and he's got lots of good things to share too. So that's it from me, and I'm ready for some questions.
Thank you, Jennifer. And we do have lots of questions. So I'm just going to jump right in. One question is, do you incorporate body movements with this at all?
Yeah, I do actually. Because there's all different kind, there's mindful movement. So, and there's mindful eating, and there's just so much you can do. So yes, I do. And it can be done in lots of different ways. There's times when I'll just pause a lesson and I'll have the kids just be seated where they are and I'll just slowly guide them through lifting their arm, like their palm up off of their thigh or off of the desk, wherever it is. And I have them do it very, very slowly. And you can actually do this even while I'm telling you about it. Wherever your palm is, you just start very, very slowly lifting it, so much so that as soon as it leaves the table or if it leaves your leg or wherever it is, you start to feel the coolness of air under your palm. And then I guide them through the warmth now, or you can almost feel the handprint that's on your leg, if it's on a body part. And I guide them through this as far as mindful movement. We can do mindful movement on our way to switching classes or on our way to packing up. And they're really paying attention to every single step. My heel is going down and then I'm rolling my foot and my toes are lifting the floor. And it's amazing when you play around with it and have fun, because the energy of the room shifts incredibly. And suddenly, packing up at the end of the day or transitioning from one period to another is a joy. You can really flip it and have it become a joy.
That's great. Okay, this is a two-part because two people asked very similar questions. So the first person wants to know how she can use it for a 4-year-old. Yeah, a 4-year-old level. This is, I believe, a nursery school teacher. And if you don't mind, I'm going to read this one. Can it be used for kindergarten children? This teacher does breathing exercises and yoga with her students, but she has a little boy who has such severe anxiety, he throws up all the time. So she was out for a week, and he didn't want to go to school. So she wants to know, can it be used for kindergartners and can it be used for little 4-year-olds?
Absolutely. Just like the habit of having your kids, you know, where's your blanket? Where's your, I remember, every stage of life my children were in, every year I gave them, if they were a year old, they had one responsibility. If they were 2 years old, they had two responsibilities. You can teach kids these habits, and this is a great time to do it. So it becomes a natural practice for them. Just like you're teaching them anything else, how to hold a pencil, how to hold a crayon, how to color. You can teach them how to become aware of their breath and aware of those around them. And it can all start by just sitting still. And it could maybe even be for 5 seconds. It could be for 7 seconds. I'm not an expert on 4-year-olds and that early elementary level, that preschool level. So I'm going to keep that um, on your side for you to know developmentally what's appropriate, the language you can use. But as far as doing it, absolutely you can. You can have them sit still. You can have them close their eyes if they're comfortable with that. And you can just even have them close their eyes, and they can, when they close their eyes, they can say, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. Of course, at their own rate, but you can have them say it out loud first so that you can see that you can begin to create that inner dialogue for them.
That's great. A lot of people did ask that. I think we have a lot of preschool and kindergarten teachers here.
Yeah. And age should not be an issue. I do not believe that age is an issue in teaching this at all.
Great, thank you. One person just made a comment. You had mentioned the life skills, and this teacher is a big fan of teaching the students the life skills, like excusing themselves into conversation when two or more people are speaking. So,
it's huge.
okay.
Was that a statement or was that a question?
That was a statement. She liked that part of it, that she really is a fan of
Yeah.
that. And here's
Yeah, and I can speak to that because I have. Isn't it interesting how you can be having a conversation with someone and a student can come up to you and just start having a conversation with you as well, not being mindful of what's happening with you and someone else. And I will tell you that now that it's halfway through the year, it's almost, I don't even remember the last time it's happened, so I can say that. So when you constantly bring that to their attention and their practice gets stronger and stronger, they self-correct and they stop themselves before they even do it.
No, that's amazing. Um, Now, here's a question. Do you ever have students that continue with the mindfulness practice even after the time that was allotted has passed? This teacher thinks she may have difficulty with students not wanting to stop this, and she's a high school level teacher.
Okay. Okay. So what I would do in that instance, I don't know if she's tried it already. If she's tried it already and kids aren't coming back, I would speak to whoever's not coming back to see if you can create an agreement with them so that when it is time for mindfulness, maybe they can go off on their own in the class so that when the rest of the class comes back, they can still remain there until they're ready. I would also have a conversation with that student to see if there's something else going on that might be beyond your skill level, and maybe that could be a call of attention to them needing some more help, and then maybe you might need to get guidance involved.
Okay.
You can, and if the teacher has not, if this teacher has not started the practice yet, then I would recommend just simply guiding them through and see what happens, and let happen what, just let what's going to happen happen. And then if you're not happy, there's nothing wrong with just sitting down with the class and saying, hey, this is what I'd love for us to be doing. This is the way it's going to roll. And it's probably going to take on a life of its own. What you do in one class is probably not going to be the same thing that happens in another class. And you need to be okay with that. But if there's nothing wrong with having a conversation with the class about it.
Have you ever had that happen to you, may I ask, in your class? Anyone who didn't want to come back?
No, I have not.
Okay. I was just curious.
But I have another mindful practice, which is it involves just the students being aware that they're not having a good day, that they take a stuffed animal and put it on the desk because they know they're teetering, and I just kind of let them be for the day. That usually is all they need. They just kind of need a timeout. If they tend to take that stuffed animal day after day after day, then I will speak to guidance. It's a visual cue that there's something else going on here that I have to pay attention to.
Okay, great. Okay, she said thank you. Those were great suggestions. One person wants to know your email address, and that's it right there, right? Info at Shift for Wellness.
Yes, info at Shift for Wellness is my email address. Yes. And if anybody tries any of these things tomorrow, which I'm hoping you will, I would love to hear your feedback. Send me your feedback. That would be great.
Okay.
And any questions, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, so there's no more questions right now, but I am going to tell everybody too. You will be getting a copy of the PDF. You'll get Jennifer's contact info, and we did record this. So we're going to post it on our YouTube channel, and I will send you the link to that as well. But yeah, like Jennifer said, please, if you try this and you want to email Jennifer, please do that. Reach out, and we would love to hear, how it worked for you. If there's anything else, if there's not anything else, Jennifer, I want to thank you for doing this. It was wonderful. I actually feel relaxed, and I hope everyone enjoyed it. I think everyone did. So, thank you again, Jennifer, and we will be reaching out to you with our information. And like I said, feel free to reach out to Jennifer at any of her social or on via email or at her school. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely evening.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.